Good afternoon. Welcome to the Meltdown. Hope you're having a great day. It's still pretty chilly outside, but you know what? It's certainly better than being in the freezing cold. I talk about economics a lot and the things that are going on around the world that will affect other scenarios that are relevant to what's happening. Today, I want to focus on a couple of points, and then I want to spend some time on rare coins. Um, Being a rare coin and precious metals dealer, you get the opportunity to speak to a lot of people in a lot of different segments of society that have different goals and objectives, but pretty much the same resounding comment that comes through here is about protecting assets. People move out of dollars or cross currencies, or they come out of different equities positions because they're worried about the state of the stock market or any other market for that matter. Now, I'm talking about when you look at where the economy is, and I talk really almost to a simplistic standpoint, but economics, the divide between the haves and the have-nots, that top 1% that is controlling probably slightly over 20% of the wealth now. The Dow Jones, for an example, was down 110 points. The Nasdaq down 54. The S&P was down a little over 18. These are trading ranges of 0.7% to 1.3%. Now, the relevance is only important if you're trading the index. If you're trading specific stocks and not the index, then you could see more volatility than what we see in the marketplace. The 10-year Treasury was up a hair. That means the yield has risen and interest rates are going the wrong way. And when I listen to other economists, other portfolio managers, and everyone's trying to speculate the timing of quantitative easing or the tapering of the U.S. government, the, the point that is the most important is that the bond buying program by the Federal Reserve is a different relative value than the mistakes that are being made in the economy. Our economic policy, that inherently is costing us, I said about a week ago it was $1 trillion. Based on the numbers from the month of November, it's actually pushing $1.8 trillion. So numbers change drastically, and unfortunately, we rely on the U.S. government to provide us the gauge as to what direction markets are headed. Now, government wants us to believe that there are more jobs being added to the rolls. Well, they are. It's the holiday season, and there's a lot of temporary jobs that have been created. Those jobs will begin disappearing as we get to Christmas, maybe by mid-January. Let's be optimistic here. And everyone's got to seal up and shut down and repackage all of the decorations and all of the extra inventory that doesn't get sold, and the write-downs come, and you start to see really great deals out there. Is it really a great deal? The company, whether it's a retailer or a wholesaler, is buying at a deep discount because most people are buying out of China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, you name it. And they're buying in such quantity to get the deepest discounts so they can be resold after the holiday season and not, quote, mothballed. Iran puts out that they're going to start producing and flooding the market with more oil. Heck, we've got the pitch of shale oil and the fracking and the destruction of our land as we try and extract more oil from it. And so all I'm really telling you is kind of things get worse before they get better. And while we've seen what we think is better, we don't really know because we're in an uncharted area of markets. There are more debts. There's more volatility. There's more transactions. There's more money, more material. People just lie, cheat, and steal and do whatever they choose to do. Now, I want to bring this into the parity that matters the most in what I do. And what I do is I talk to folks who have got and have amassed wealth. Wealth can be the bonus check for the end of the year. It could be that extra $500 or $1,000. Maybe you've been trying to save up all calendar year. You've got a couple of children, or 4 children, or 7 children, and you want to do something different. It's from that standpoint that I look specifically at rare coins and precious metals. And not all rare coins have to be extremely rare. I confuse people more than I mean to when I talk about the middle third and the rare third. Because a coin is rare, because it sells for $4,000 and it's 0.77 ounces of silver, does not mean that you're buying a $25 valued coin for $4,000. It means that the numismatic value, the collector value, the true rarity of a piece commands its premium because there are a network of dealers and collectors around the country and around the world that determine the value of a coin. Now, I talked to a regular customer this morning. He came in. He wanted some information about an 1894 Philadelphia Morgan silver dollar. The coin was looked at under the proper lighting. This is somebody who's collected coins for a long time. The coin has a value of approximately $3,500 to $4,500. Now, the coin has not been graded by one of the 2 major grading services, but the gentleman who's considering the acquisition has collected Morgan silver dollars and is very comfortable with where the grade of the coin should be. Grade points matter a great deal. A Mint State 60 specimen, 1894, is a coin that dealer to dealer is about $2,500 to $2,750. In Mint State 62, the coin approaches $4,500. Mint State 63, $5,500. Now, these little grade points matter a great deal, particularly as you approach the Mint State 64 grade. Same dated coin, I'm going to use one of the cheat sheets. That way we deal with wholesale to wholesale. In a coin that's graded Mint State 64, the 1894 Philadelphia would start to approach $8,500 to $10,000. If the coin gets a plus or a star or a CAC sticker, then you could start talking about potentially going in between the value of Mint State 64 and Mint State 65, which would take this specimen up to a level of about $35,000 in the next grade. So these grade points matter a great deal. This is a coin that is rare, but is exceptionally rare in Mint State 65. That would be a gem BU by the old standard. Now, I talked about borderline BU, and the gentleman that was in the store, his first name is Bill, and Bill and I looked at each other like, what the heck is borderline BU? Well, it really is an AU graded coin, but ultimately it's a marketing ploy. And so that's what I really want to tell you. Folks, when you're out shopping, if you're at a flea market or an antique shop, and you see coins that have been graded by someone other than a major grading service, they're using their best guess. They're reading the red book, and they're utilizing information to assess a grade, and they may not have the experience to do so. This boils down to understanding your area of expertise. And so for me, I like coins from circulated grades to uncirculated grades. I like them all. I love coins that were produced in the colonies. I have owned elephant tokens, and I've owned coins from the Eliasburg sale. I've owned Bass minted pieces. There's a lot of different coins that I've owned over the years. And so when I talk about this type of material, it really does have to do with what you've got to work with. And I talk to people all the time. I've been doing this for over 25 years now. And ultimately, when you look at a cachet of material, and you weigh it against the amount of money you're working with. Whether those funds have been diversified in equities, whether they've been in CDs or annuities or any other investment. What matters most is who is the next owner in the chain that wants to own your coin. Clients come and go, and I've got clients that I sold type 2 $20 Liberty gold pieces to. I really started recommending them. I worked for a company starting in 1994 where we really started the push of the Philadelphia and San Francisco type 2 $20 gold piece. Those are coins that are struck from 1866 to 1876. The coins have 0.9675 pure ounces of gold. They are $20 denominated gold pieces. Now, $20 gold pieces were produced from 1850 all the way to 1932 for circulation. There was a coin struck in 1933. There were a bunch of them, $20 gold pieces, but they were never released to circulation. Subsequently, they're illegal to own. One coin was authorized by FDR. It's got a chain of custody. It recently sold. It's been in the last 10, 12 years now. But the coin sold for nearly $7.5 million. It's the only legal one to own outside of the Smithsonian. A family in Philadelphia discovered 10 of them. And they went to an attorney who didn't do his due diligence properly and turned them over to the Treasury Department. Treasury Department cited the law, confiscated the coins. A large lawsuit ensued. The family lost possession and custody of the coins because they're illegal to own in the United States. All they had to do was cross the border and deal with them. And at that point, they could have been sold anywhere else in the world. And while they could stay outside of the U.S. and maintain custody, back in the U.S., they're illegal. There's a lot of different coins out there. Give or take a few, 9,000 different pieces were struck, and they come in 20 different grades. And as a collector, somebody who loved coins as a kid, and I started like most kids back in the 60s, I started with pennies and nickels. And I chased my aunts and my uncles and my grandparents and anybody I could to be able to pop those holes and fill them up. And then when it came to the rare coins, well, those coins I either had to shovel snow or cut yards. I grew up in St. Louis. Today, big boy coins come in higher grades and they're more valuable. And then you get into currency. And there's so many different ways to collect. I love material currency from the Republic and the government of Texas. Whether you're looking at the bonds or warrants, or you're looking to build 13 coin sets of Texas half dollars. There's so many different ways to be involved in the industry. Now, typically I tell people to get their hands on a red book. The 2014 edition has been out since April. It's the 67th year of the guidebook. To be a contributor is a little feather in your cap, and the information is gathered months before it goes to press. The numbers in the red book are only relevant to the mintages of the coins, how many coins were actually produced and quote, put into circulation. The values of the coins change drastically, and they change quickly. Now, it would be understandable that if one of your parents passed away, or maybe you inherited a collection, you would have mint sets and proof sets. Those are packaged in Philadelphia typically. Coins come from Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco in certain years. We call them the PDS sets. And the values of those coins change as is dictated by the market. I talked about the 1954 Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mint set. We discovered it a couple of weeks ago in one of the cases. It's a set that we had priced at $300, but the current value over the period of about a year or two took the coin set up to $475. I gave a really good deal to a client, and the set that's worth $475 I sold for $425 because I was happy to sell it at $300, and when I discovered it didn't sell, it was time to transact it again. So deals come all the time. And because there's billions of coins that are struck by the US Mint, it really is about putting together something that you like. Is it investment quality? That'll be the question. And are you trying to make money or preserve capital? A third, and a third is a formula that I came up with back in 1997, 98, and started to put into newsletter form in 98 and 99. More people caught on by the first part of the year 2000, 2001, and started to mimic it because it makes a lot of sense. Coin dealers are expanding all over the nation. I know of a dealer up on Long Island that is opening offices around the country, and ultimately it is to sell more coins. There's a lot of material out there. And folks, as long as you stay focused on the cheapest gold and silver out in the marketplace, you'll be tied to somebody else at the hip who wants to buy, sell, or trade what you've got. Now, I watch the market, and I can tell you that while the major four metals are down between 0.25% and 0.75%, it's not a lot of money. It is if you're trading in millions of ounces, but you know what? If you're not, then you're looking at a small aberration. It's not that big. Because the dollar is down, you would think this might be a day where the price of oil is up. And it isn't. It's down because Iran is out telling everybody that they're going to flood the market full of oil. Well, it isn't going to work that way. General Motors, which was in the news yesterday for hiring its first woman CEO, is going to be shutting down operations in Australia over the next 3 years. By 2017, they're going to stop producing vehicles. However, oil is plentiful down there. They're going to produce a huge amount of it, potentially as much as is coming out of Saudi Arabia. The point is that there are certain areas of the world where cars are just inundated in the marketplace, and GM doesn't want to be in Australia anymore. But listen to Ford, and they want to expound and expand huge in China, but the Chinese pollution is so bad there that they're literally looking at a situation where they don't want to be more involved. It's that bad. So for me, I'm looking at what's going to happen and what's going to go on moving forward. Looking at the value of coins, looking at the value of the economy, looking at the value of how people are looking to do things to continue to move forward and protect their wealth. Now, I can tell you firsthand that what I believe may be different from what will happen. And that's the difference between being able to prognosticate a market accurately and being able to discuss how you protect yourself in the event you need to hedge your bets. It's just that simple. From the standpoint of looking at markets and understanding that there's a lot of coins out there, if you've got millions of dollars and you're looking for a strategy to find an area of a market where you can have significant impact in the value of the market. In other words, I like type 2 $20 gold pieces because between NGC and PCGS, we're probably talking about a market that may contain 50 to 55,000 coins from the lowest grade, which is going to run around 2 on a scale of 1 to 70, to the finest known specimens, which Mint State 67, Mint State 68s haven't been discovered yet in this area. St. Gaudens gold pieces, the final variety, those were struck from 1907 to 1933. There are proof 69 ultra high reliefs that sell for millions of dollars. Now, this is a market where you can find almost anything. And for me, I want to tell people to own different types of mint sets or proof sets. I want people to have fun with the sets. Ultimately, if all you do is hoard gold or silver or platinum, and you don't have a better strategy than that, then you're truly going to be in an area of conflict with the government. Back in 1933, May the 1st to be exact, that's when President Roosevelt signed the gold recall. He dealt with the assumption of hoarding. He didn't go after silver because all of our half dimes, dimes, quarters, half dollars, and dollars were struck in 90% silver. Subsequently, silver was pretty much exempt from confiscation. Then this time come around, when the problems really excel and are bigger than we've ever looked at any other time in our history, we are in more debt today than we've ever been in. And it's from that standpoint that I truly share a concern over what do the right-wingers believe, what do the left-wingers believe. If you're sitting right down the center of the page, what do people believe? There are mint collectors, mint sets, proof sets. There are roll sets. There's been purported to be a complete roll set of $20 St. Gaudens gold pieces owned by somebody, quote, down in South Texas. No one's ever been assured of it, but there's been a lot of purported value to it. And there would be coins, if these are original rolls, that are going to grade in some of the finest grades ever. Folks, you can't get the coins graded fast enough. You can't keep the lid on it all enough to get the coins graded and then liquidate them into the marketplace without getting caught. And what I mean by that, I certainly don't want to insinuate anything illegal. If you owned a roll of 1927 Denver $20 gold pieces, those coins will command huge numbers, $500,000 to $1 million a coin. An original roll, 20 coins, if 20 coins hit the market, the value of that date would absolutely go down by 70 to 80% in my opinion. Certain coins are rare enough that you don't want to flood the market with them. So maybe you only get to put out one or two every few years. And there are buyers for that type of coin. When I look at coin auctions and I realize the value of coins that trade for between $1,000 and $5,000, I'm amazed at some of the values that certain coins will carry and other coins that get discounted. And for the layperson who's looking at common silver dollars, this is one of the biggest arguments and fights and battles that I have day in and day out with people, is that you can look at two coins that have exactly the same look, exactly the same date and denomination by the same grading company and the same quality. And one will carry a premium of 20 to 50 percentage points over the other, and you're going to make the assumption that the cheaper one is the better value, and it's just not the way it works. This is a point in time where you can't just jump on an online auction site. You can't look at the history of a certain auction house and determine what value is, because it takes somebody with 20 or 30 years of experience to help guide you through all this. There are too many terms and too many different areas of expertise that some guys know and other guys don't have a clue about. I know a great deal about $20 Liberty gold pieces. Back in 1998 and 99, I built the very first certified set of $20 Liberty gold coins. And as we were working on the collection, we wanted all of the coins to be in the finest 100 known. The New Orleans minted coins were all condition census pieces, finest known or tied for finest. There were a number of coins that were condition census. And as time has gone on since that set was completed and broken up in 2001, it was in January, I wish the client had been able to keep it together, because the investment that he made in the neighborhood of about $3 3.1, 3.2 million, today would command somewhere between 15 and probably 18 million. As populations have increased, the value did not decrease because more people have an interest in those coins. Now, there were coins that came off of a couple of the shipwrecks. And so coins from the Central America, the Brother Jonathan, the Republic, those weren't coins that we sought to have finest known pieces in. The 1904 Philadelphia $20 Liberty gold piece, we owned a very, very attractive Mint State 65 coin for a couple of $1,000s. We didn't want a Mint State 66 or a Mint State 67. We were definitely getting to the end of what we had to work with, but we ended up building a complete set of $20 Liberty gold coins. Even the National Collection at the Smithsonian didn't have a complete set. The only other known complete set was owned by a gentleman by the name of Louis Eliasberg. And Mr. Eliasberg in 1950 completed his set, and it was an example of every coin made by the U.S. Mint and the territories. It was fabulous, but it was never third-party authenticated and graded. The set that was called the Eagle Collection was. Now, there were two coins originally when the set was submitted to NGC that were left in PCGS holders because NGC didn't like the grades that were assessed to the two pieces, and they wouldn't cross these two coins over in particular. But I understand $20 Liberties. I understand $2.50 Indian gold pieces. And the fact that I don't always agree with the grading companies doesn't matter at all because I've bought coins. One in particular was an 1875 Carson City $20 gold piece in Mint State 62. The coin, when I bought it, was just amazing. And I talked to the client at the time. He lived up in Pennsylvania. And William, when he sent me the money and I saw the coin, I was just like, my gosh, man, give me a few days, we'll get it processed. But this is a coin that in time, not too long, we'll get more of our 20s together, and then we'll submit them all, and we'll see if we can't get an upgrade. I described the coin. It was absolutely amazing. The next day, in came 17 tags. The dealer who sold me the coin, and I was working for somebody else at the time, the dealer who sold the coin to the company sent 17 tags, making it apparent that he had tried to get this coin in a 63 or a Mint State 64 holder and tried and tried and tried. Well, at that point, the coin had been used up. There was no reason to send it in for years. Ultimately, we don't always agree with the graders. We don't. Whether they're asleep at the wheel or they see the same coin too many times. Now there's photos taken of coins and they hold those photos so that they can determine if coins are being resubmitted or maybe the chain of custody has changed hands. Bottom line is that when I look at material, I want to understand what the graders are looking at. And so you can either get so-so coins and pay a discount for ugly coins, or you pay a premium for nice looking coins. The toning, tarnish is what most lay people call it. Sometimes the toning can be so attractive if you took it off, you would discount the value of a coin by as many as 6 to 8-fold. Certain coins will trade at 10 or 15-fold. And I've sold some amazing toned coins. And clients that have paid me for a common date coin that's 150 offered me $1,700 to $2,000 to own the colored coin because, frankly, it's worth that kind of money. And then you can talk about the CAC sticker, or you can regrade a coin and try to get the star or the plus sign. All of it assures more value of material. And so that's what this boils down to also. Now, folks, I can tell you point blank that if all you're doing is shotgunning money across the market and you're not quite sure what you're doing, odds are you're going to make some mistakes. And that's okay because you're having fun. But if the money starts to matter, if you're making decisions predicated on future value, you need to be fair to yourself, you need to be fair to the dealer, and let the man operate, or the woman, on a profit. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the experience. I don't begrudge anybody who's got a few years of experience and they're trying to sell whatever the inventory is in the house. But this is a different house. This house wants to talk to you about what your goals and objectives are and put a little bit different twist on what you're contemplating so that we meet the goals and objectives, we secure wealth, we build a value in your portfolio that is something you want to pass on to your heirs, or maybe it's just that 10 to 20 year play where you want to see something not lose value. If you want to see it appreciate, folks, there are no guarantees in life except death and taxes. And ultimately, those are all cliches, but it's about paying the piper for the experience. That's what it boils down to. Anyway, I never try to get off air without talking about Texas Children's Hospital. And folks, this is the organization that matters the most to me. I love the Downs Clinic, located just south of the Fannin campus at the Meyer Center. Dr. Ostermeyer and her staff take care of Downs and autism and other disabilities. I appreciate the facility. If you go to the meltdown.com, click on the donation banner. You can certainly fill it out with your name, address, city, state, zip, the amount of money that your tither offering will be. You'll get the receipt for the charitable contribution so you can write it off your taxes. The information is all anonymous for me. Now, the Ronald McDonald House at Texas Children's has 20 rooms on the 4th floor. Between 40 and 60 people stay overnight to be able to spend time with their children and other family members. If you can provide a hot meal, if you can provide a tithe or a donation, please call 832-824-8600. That's 832-824-8600. Nancy Allen and her staff would be more than happy to assist you. I appreciate the doctors, the nurses, the staff, and the volunteers at Texas Children's throughout the medical center and, of course, around the world. I love the kids, and I want to do anything I can to help them. Now, folks, at Texas Children's, they expect over 500 children between Thanksgiving and Christmas. If you can provide a couple of toys, please drive by the campus. The security people will be more than happy to take it inside for you. Anything you can do to help them, I'd really appreciate. And I know the children will come Christmas Day. Now, if you've got questions or comments, you can email me anytime. That's Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. You can visit themeltdown.com. There are over 500 shows. I'm going to guess that we're getting pretty close to 400 hours of audio time, but I'll give Michael an elbow and we'll see if we can't get that number closer to reality for tomorrow. Folks, ask questions, please. If you're reading other things on the internet, you can go to themeltdown.com, click on the donation or the links page. That'll lead you into some other areas that we provide some information to. Build portfolios, ask questions, get good information. That way we can assist you and do our jobs even better. I appreciate you listening in. Thank you for tuning us in, and we'll look forward to being here tomorrow about 9:30. Have a great day, and God bless you.